Hello, everybody. This is Inside the Pigskin. We all hope everyone had a nice Memorial Day weekend, enjoyed the food, honored our veterans, and so forth. I spent my time over the weekend working with the Daytona Beach Tortugas and got some pretty good stuff that I'll divulge at certain times. But meanwhile, tonight's crew consists of Smoking Jeremy B. Welcome back, Jeremy.
Glad to be here.
And George Icorn, the author.
Oh, good to be here. Happy Memorial Day still, everybody.
And last but not least, the running back, Melfar Jr.
Great to be back, guys. Hope everybody had a nice holiday weekend.
Yeah, well, I did. It was busy, but I enjoyed every moment I had up in Daytona. I want to thank the Daytona Tortugas for their great hospitality. I usually go there when I know that they have major league personnel in that clubhouse. So they're a good run organization and promoting the cap, and probably will later on as well. So, all right, Jeremy B., it looks like you got a couple of people chiming in, so we're going to assign you as part of the chat room today, Jeremy.
Absolutely. We got Quinn Cook coming in saying, "Hey, JB, good to see you, Quinn." And one of my other subscribers, Brian Three Cushion, also known as Brian Roy, he says, "Hi, fellas. We're here to talk some football."
And George giving him there, and I
We're
can.
smoking dad.
And Danny's back. So, Jeremy, what do you like to tell people when they pop in here?
Don't forget to go and subscribe to the South Florida Tribune so you can get notified every time we go live. I just pop it on my channel to help him grow.
And Jeremy and I will be doing a show real soon. We'll divulge that. Don't think we're going to get the debut off this week because I have a busy weekend, but most likely it'll be the following week. So stay tuned and subscribe. You'll know what we're doing. Let me give everybody a basic overview just to let you know. Following Inside the Pigskin, we have 108 Stitches Baseball talk. So George and I are going to be flipping over there immediately after this show. Today we're going to talk about Patrick Mahomes. We're going to talk about his contract. We're going to talk about the San Francisco Bay Area hosting Super Bowl 60. And last but not least, and I really saw this and I really liked it, how Diana Flores is going to have flag football artifacts in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. A little change of pace. And of course, Mel will have a couple of topics to share as well. So with that said, let's get it rolling here. Quarterback salaries are escalating. Patrick Mahomes said he's more worried about winning Super Bowls than making money. His average salary is $45 million per year. Signed a 10-year, $450 million deal in 2020. Seventh among quarterbacks handed out in the last 3 years. Well, we all know how that goes. So I guess by today's standards, he's seventh. So I guess the only thing I'm going to ask everybody is, first of all, I'm going to lead it off with you, Jeremy. All right. Do you think that Patrick Mahomes can feed his family on $45 million a year in Kansas City?
Well, if he truly felt like he wanted to win Super Bowls instead of getting paid like that, he would have pulled a line out of Al Kaline's book and saying, "I don't need to make that much money for a kid's game."
Okay.
But now that he's won his Super Bowls and he's realizing, I'm going to be eating up 25% of the salary. And over the last 23 years, only one quarterback that ate up 25% of a salary actually won a Super Bowl. And his name is John Matthew Stafford.
There you go. All right. So with that said, and everybody's going to answer it the same way. Is it easy to say that since he has his 2 Super Bowl rings in his pocket, that it's certainly easier for him to justify his position? Jeremy?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, after 2 Super Bowls, he's like, I made him on my rookie contract. I need to make that much money to prove I'm good. I am good. And take a line out of Tom Brady's book, start being an under market value quarterback.
Okay. All right, George, you get the same questions. Let's talk about Patrick Mahomes'
salary. Yeah, Patrick is worth everything they pay him. And in a way, it is a little bit unfortunate for some of the top quarterbacks because, like you said, Scott, that scale keeps going up and up and up. And guys like Mahomes and Stafford, who have already signed for many, many years, every year we see a new addition to that upper echelon of payment to quarterbacks. But that being said, no, he deserves what he gets. He definitely does. And I take him at his word that the Super Bowls are more important to him. I mean, he's got a long way to go to catch the GOAT Brady. But if anybody's going to do it, Patrick sure has a chance to do it. So I'm really thinking that I think he's very sincere about what he says, and it's good for the Chiefs. I mean, I know the 25% is hard. Anytime you take that much of your team salary, I mean, I know that's difficult on the rest of the players and forming your roster, but for a superstar quarterback, elite guy like that, man, you got to give him the money.
Okay, Mel.
Yeah, I think the general manager came out last week and said, they're going to revisit his contract, and no matter what they pay him, they're probably going to underpay him. He's probably going to be underpaid because of what he brings to that franchise. Now, is it easier for him to say with 2 Super Bowls underneath his belt? I don't think so. I think Patrick Mahomes is about winning. He's the best in the business without question. And it also makes it a little bit easier for him because the endorsements, he's getting paid outside of football as well.
Right.
So he doesn't have to be the highest paid guy now to continue making sure that the next guy up gets money. He has to get a contract that's, around market value so that because he understands that he holds that key for what the other guys are going to get to come after him. So, when he signed this contract, he was the highest paid player at that particular time for however long it was.
Right.
And then the next guy up, leapfrogged him and then so forth and so on until we get to, Lamar Jackson now being the highest paid player. So that's just kind of how it goes. And we talked about this last week. At some point in time, these owners have to get smart. They have to figure this thing out. I mean, it takes a team to win. Now, Patrick Mahomes is a great player, but he has some great players around him. They surrounded him with great players. Obviously, they couldn't pay Tyreek. They lost Tyreek. They replaced him with some other guys, some cheaper guys. They still have one of the greatest tight ends in the game in Kelsey. They have a very good running back core. They're able to find somebody, get somebody drafted in the 7th round. They came in and made a lot of contributions to their team and also helped them win that Super Bowl last year as well. But then, defensively, you have to be able to stop people too. So, he signed a contract that gives the Chiefs a lot of flexibility and enables them to continue to win. He understands that, it's about winning. Getting paid is great. Don't get me wrong. Now, if you're somewhere, Houston, you're a team that's really doesn't have a chance to win, then yeah, you're all about trying to get paid. And then maybe at some point in time, you can get out of there and get to a point where you can win a championship. But ultimately, yeah, you want to get paid. But, he's had an opportunity to win. He's got a taste of it and he wants to continue to do that. He has an opportunity to do some things that a lot of guys have not been able to do. Only one, really, speaking of Tom Brady.
Okay, I should point out, folks, that the audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? One way to do it is go in the chat room, and you'll get on here. We've had a few people that made it on that way. Or you can send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call, 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. With that said, the only thing I'll say about Patrick Mahomes, I like everything that he stands for. I do. Man of integrity, exceptionally talented quarterback. Yeah, he's won a couple Super Bowls. I just wonder how many he's going to win. Tom Brady has 7. I'll never compare him to Tom Brady. But for a guy his age, he's off to a really, really fine start. All right, well, speaking of Super Bowls, and I'll just segue to this one. San Francisco Bay Area is going to host Super Bowl 60 in 2026. You know what, Mel? Let's start off with you on this one. What do you think about the Bay Area getting one?
I was actually in a Super Bowl in the Bay Area in 85, I think it was, when they had the Super Bowl there. And I was it was my freshman year at UCLA, and they played at Stanford. And coming up from LA to the Bay Area, I didn't realize there was that much difference in the weather. I didn't take a coat.
Mm-hmm.
I had a short sleeve shirt, I think. It froze my you-know-what off. I mean, it was cold. Now, Bay Area is a great area. Love their football up there. They love the 49ers up there. I think it's great, for the Bay Area to host of the Super Bowl. I'm pretty sure they probably hosted one since then. Yeah, when they opened up the new stadium, I'm sure they probably hosted one at that particular time.
All right.
Up there in Santa Clara. So, yeah, looking forward to it, and looking forward to our Lions having an opportunity to go out there and win a Super Bowl.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this before I turn over to George. You know, Mel, you talk about LA and San Francisco. I've seen 2 Super Bowls in South Florida. When I went to Super Bowl 39 in Jacksonville, man, we're talking 40-degree difference there. You know, we were looking at Super Bowls in like what the 40-degree mark. Luckily, I had a jacket. Never thought I'd really have to use it, but I can certainly relate to where you're going for sure. All right, you know what? Brian Cushion has a pretty interesting comment, and you know what? Go ahead, Jeremy.
It says, in today's money, if Goff plays well this year, what would a realistic number be? Anything less than 40 million because he's a game manager quarterback. He's not going to put the team on his back and win a game, but he's also not going to lose the team a game. It depends on the pieces around him.
Yeah, that's a good one. All right, now I want to go back on topic, but I want to make sure that everybody in the chat room certainly has high priority. If we can get you on, I'm going to make every effort I can to do it. George, the Bay Area, 2026.
My only concern is that, you know, it's a pretty long haul from San Francisco. So most of your hotel rooms, most of your people are going to be staying in Frisco to get to Santa Clara. I mean, that's not right around the corner, guys. So, I mean, I know that obviously they presented their case in great fashion. And you're right, Mel. This is the third one. They had one in Stanford, then they had one at the new stadium, and now a second one at the new stadium. I'm not questioning it because there's great fans there. But I wonder sometimes if the league tries to play both hands. You know what I'm saying? They'll tell cities like Detroit, oh, sorry, you don't have enough hotel space for us. Well, I should say they said that only one time. That Detroit did get one. Let's be factual here, George. They did get the one at Ford Field, and they did have to bus people in from the suburbs because we did not have enough hotel rooms. But you can't tell me Santa Clara has a lot of hotel rooms either. All I'm saying is that it's more of a prestigious site. It's still a great city. The Bay is a great area, I'm sure. But Mel, you brought up a good point. You never know what the weather's going to be like, and yeah, it could be very chilly. That being said, I'll go along with it. I don't object to it, but let's get another one in the northern climates, okay, Mr. Commissioner, pretty soon.
Well, I mean, the Lions had Super Bowl 16 when Cincinnati and San Francisco played, and then won at Ford Field. And the reason why the Lions got the other one is because they built a new stadium, and the NFL's policies is they're going to reward newer stadiums. Now, I'm not sure how that's going to work.
5 years they're open, they get.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see how the dynamic works in Buffalo, but I'm sure the NFL will find it. But, you know, I mean, but we'll stay on point. Jeremy, what are your thoughts about the Bay Area?
The Bay Area is a beautiful, historic area, and they will always garner tourists. They do have a lot of hotels in the suburb areas and around the town, but not actually in the city. And I don't even think the stadium's in the city, is it?
No, suburb.
So it's in the suburbs, so it'll be closer to the hotel district.
Yeah, I've been to San Francisco, one of the best favorite cities I've ever been to. I actually saw Joe Montana's last game there as a 49er the night before my birthday. It was unbelievable seeing a game. So, by the way, Brian, you're welcome. And you know what, Mark Malak, again, these questions will be aimed towards Jeremy. Go ahead. What do you say? Or maybe
bust. He's a Lions fan, and I love his enthusiasm.
So is it Well, answer the guy's question. Super Bowl or bust?
No, that's his statement every show. Super Bowl
okay.
or bust. That's what he comes out with. That's his greeting.
All right, Mark. Thanks for putting it out there. Now it's for everyone to see permanently because we don't delete these broadcasts.
Amen.
Yeah, no way. No, once they go in the archive, they stay there. Just so you know. So if you ever want to watch them again, they're not going anywhere. So. Yeah, no, I just think the San Francisco Bay Area is great. A lot of things to do. You got Fisherman's Wharf, Alcatraz, and everything around it. There's plenty to do. There's plenty of ways to spread out. More power to them. So, all right. Last topic before I turn it over to Mel. Diana Flores becomes the first flag football player with artifacts in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Okay, Jeremy, flag football. I think they do this over at the Pro Bowl, but let's face the reality. The Pro Bowl felt like flag football until they decide to get rid of it. But staying on point with Diana, I just want to make sure we stay on point.
I think
I think it's pretty special, isn't it?
I think the last year that LT was in the Pro Bowl was the last time we saw real tackling. So yes, it's been flag football for almost 3 decades already. So that being said, uh, yeah, it's great that they're putting flag football in there because that is where the children start. And so to take a professional flag football player and put her artifacts in there, that's an amazing thing.
George?
I think it's great, Scott. I mean, that is wonderful to put a display and some artifacts from her flag football. And you're right, guys. I mean, they did it officially, officially last Pro Bowl, and obviously the players had a lot of fun with it, and plus the other contests that they had there. I know there were several Lion players down at the Pro Bowl this year, and they all had a lot of fun. So I think it's great, though. I mean, to honor that, because let's think about it, okay, guys. Flag football has been around so long. It's been part of the American lore for so many years. I mean, as kids, we played it, and adults still play it, and kids still play it. So I think it's very fitting, excuse me, that the NFL recognizes it and the Pro Football Hall of Fame honors it at Canton. I think it's great.
I want to go to Brian Cushion. You know, Brian, one of the things I like to do on Inside the Pigskin as well as our other shows is I like to look for different topics that most everybody out there won't do. That's always been my domain in 43 years in the business. Anybody can come up with the obvious stuff, but I'm not one of those type of people. If it's an interesting topic, it's going on this show or the Sports Exchange. So hopefully, Brian, after you've subscribed and you get the notification and you'll see more and more, that's great. But the main thing is you know what? I like the whole idea because anytime that you're able to go ahead and talk about the history of sports, and it is a museum, you have to simply do it. So, all right, Mel, Diana, what do you think about Miss Flores?
Oh, I think it's a great PR move by the league. I mean, obviously they want to attract more eyeballs to their product. One of the areas that they probably see a growth opportunity is with females. And I think it's a great PR move on the part of the NFL. I didn't grow up playing flag football. I never played flag football. I always played tackle football. But so I don't know a whole lot about flag football. But I think it's a great PR move. I did see the commercials. The commercials were great. I even think I saw her. She did something, and they had like a little combine or something like that for gals in flag football that was really nice as well, because they're trying to encourage obviously female participation in flag football. Again, if you get them interested in the flag football, then they'll obviously be drawn to the tackle football sport as far as the NFL, that product, and watching that product. So I think it was a great PR move.
Yeah, the only Hall of Fame, believe it or not, I haven't been to is the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've been to Cooperstown a few times. I've been to the old Basketball Hall of Fame, but then I know they moved that. And hockey relocated itself. So, with that said, Jeremy, you want to add something?
Yeah, Diana Flores, is that the same one that's part owner of the XFL with Dwayne Johnson? The one that was giving away the trophy to the winners?
I'm
Danny?
not sure.
His ex-wife? Are you asking if it was her, you said? Or what was your question?
Diana Flores. There was a Diana Flores that was there with The Rock as part owner of the XFL.
No, she's not. No. That's his ex-wife.
Okay, I didn't know.
No, it's okay.
So I was just asking because the name.
Her name is Danny.
Yeah, no, it's a fair
her
question.
name is Danny something. I can't think of her last name.
Last name was Flores. Flores. I remember seeing it because I was watching the documentary about the championship game for the XFL.
Yeah, that's his ex-wife.
Okay. No.
So
and
yeah,
and his business partner, and she's his manager still.
Yeah, I mean, well, she must be doing good because he still makes movies.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, what's really cool is that, like you say, it's a good PR move. And you know what? Your dad certainly agrees that he think it was a good thing as well. So by all means. All right, Mel, I'm going to let you go ahead and take it over from there. Go ahead.
Well, I think over the weekend we had some, I don't know if it was surprising news, but we saw that DeAndre Hopkins got let loose by the Arizona Cardinals. And he's 30, 31 or somewhere in that area, 31 years old. obviously he was older. He was going to take a big hit as far as he's going to take a big chunk of the cap, and it just couldn't justify keeping him on at that number. They had there was talks about trying to trade him, but why would somebody bail you out of that? That situation. You created it. Why am I going to bail you out? Do you have any ideas or any places, Jeremy, that you think that DeAndre Hopkins might be a good fit, or where do you think he may land?
Well, if you want to talk money-wise, it's the Jets because they have the money and they can afford them. The only thing you don't know about, because they do have some up-and-comers that are young rookies and second-year players, will they have the targets for him? So then you have to go to who has the targets and who has the money. And everybody says the Lions have the money, but they haven't signed all of even their first-round picks yet. So at that point, once you sign all them, you don't have that $20 million a year he's going to want. Because that's what he's asking for is $20 million a year. So we have everything he wants, a team that is vying for a championship, a team that has the targets because Jamison Williams, at least for 6 weeks, is out. So that means it would be him and Amon-Ra on the outside and in either Marvin Jones or Amon-Ra in the slot. So then you got to go to the other names he mentioned, the Ravens. I think that would be a great one because those first-round picks, other than OBJ that are on the team, and OBJ, how many games is he going to be healthy for? But at the same time, you have to think about D-Hop because other than that 6-game suspension, he averages 4 games missed a year over the past 4 years. So he misses just as many games as DeAndre Swift, and availability is the best ability.
What about you, George?
Well, I'd like to see him on the Lions. I really would. But Jeremy does bring up a good point. We got to see if the money's going to be available or not. Jets would be a great fit. Obviously, Rodgers is looking for targets. They're trying to beef up their receiving core for him. With him coming over from Green Bay, there's no question about it that they got to be a serious contender as well. Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, I mean, that's another one. But, I think that there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of other teams, too, that are interested in him. It's going to be, I think, a really interesting situation. How many are going to go after him? How many interviews is he and his agent going to fly back and forth to? We'll have to see just how it pans out, Mel. But I would put the Jets and Detroit up at the top of the list, my list.
Jeremy, I hadn't heard that he was asking for $20 million. I would think that at his stage in his career, he's made money. He's made plenty of money. I would think that right now the most important thing is trying to go to a team where he can win a championship. I think that, in my opinion, that would be the most important thing at this stage of my career. Is if I'm going to continue to play, I want to get paid. Get paid a fair amount. $20 million for him, and he has been a little bit injury prone as of late. The older you get, the more injury prone you get. I think that $15 million is probably fair. 15 to 17 million would probably be fair for him, and give himself an opportunity to put himself in a position where he can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so let me ask you guys a question. Okay, Brian Cushion makes a great point. D-Hop is not for us in this rebuilding of our team, but let me ask each and every one of you guys, okay? I'm just curious before I'll let you go back to you, Mel, because I certainly like to address the chat room. Jeremy first, okay? I understand Brian's point, but rebuilding of our team, but don't you feel, Jeremy, that the rebuilding portion is pretty much almost done? They're trying to get better talent.
After this draft, and it's almost to that plug-and-play point where you start plugging in the pieces that fit. Now, I'm just saying what I heard on NFL Network and ESPN on what he could get for the position he plays, which is $20 million a year. So the 4 teams that make the most sense, but 3 of them don't have the money.
Right.
He named the Bills, he named the Jets, he named the Chiefs, and he named Lamar Jackson. He named them quarterbacks out by name that he'd love to play for. So that's why I went through them. But Kansas City Chiefs don't have the money. That's why they've had to cut people. That's why Frank Clark's no longer there, and they had to draft a DN that's a question mark. Because I don't care what you say, anybody who's drafted, no matter how good they look in college, is a question mark in the NFL.
All right, so another question I have for you. I know the Cleveland Browns have been talked about it, that Deshaun Watson would love to have him back, and they were a prolific tandem with the Texans. Do you think that's ever going to materialize?
They've got less cap space than than we do.
Okay, well, that's fair enough. Okay, didn't want to get off topic. So,
No,
any,
that's a good question, though.
yeah, okay. Well, it's something we read up on this stuff. Do any of you guys want to go ahead and offer an opinion on this? I want to get back to Mel, so he has a couple of other questions. So go ahead, George. Any quick comment about the?
No, I mean, yeah, you could use the term rebuilding, but it's further along than a rebuild right now, obviously, with what we've seen in the drafting and like Jeremy said, the plug and play is the type of player they're looking for. But no, if it's going to come at a cost of that much money, $20 million, then I wouldn't see him fitting in with the Lions, and several other teams can't afford that either. I'm with Mel. I think he should ask for less than that.
Well, here, you know what? Your man Brian Cushion's on a roll, so I have to keep going to this guy. And I think he'd be complaining that he's not getting enough passes thrown to him because of a guy like Ama.
Oh yeah.
Well, you know what? Hey,
Yeah.
Brian, I'm gonna from my mouth to your ears. Okay, if you ever want to come on a future edition of this show, please make sure you do subscribe, and I will bring on here. But you also have to learn a company policy, which is very, very serious. Okay, so I'm going to tell you right now, you need to learn the acronym GMTA. Great minds think alike. Okay, I know that you'll have plenty of time, Brian, and I would love to bring you on as a future guest one time. We'll work it out. So make sure you sub first and then let Jeremy know about it. And we're going to bring you on with us. Okay, Mel, take it. Go ahead and take over again. Sorry about that. Just
no problem. No problem. Adrian Peterson was back in the news last week talking about he's not officially retired, that he thinks he still has a little tread left on the tire. And there's been some conversation, or there's been some speculation, or there's been some wishful thinking of him, taking over for Ezekiel Elliott in that short yardage type situation? Or do you think that, because the Lions lost their big short yardage and goal line back and let him go in free agency, do you think the Lions should think about bringing Adrian Peterson back? What do you think, Jeremy?
I think Adrian Peterson has less tread on him than the tire I changed this afternoon, where the wheels are showing and holes in the sidewall. I don't see where he has much left in the tank, because when he was here, and that was the start of us having an O-line, he couldn't average 3 yards a carry. Remember, we had Frank Ragnow already. We still had Glasgow that year. We had Taylor Decker. We had that lump on the right tackle side, Ricky Waters, which is why Decker stopped looking good, because they had to move Glasgow over there to help him. And he couldn't run with our O-line, but Swift he could. I mean, so that says a lot to me.
Yeah. What about you, George?
No, I'm afraid not, Mel. I don't think AP is not in Detroit. I don't know if he'd be able to be a good fit anywhere. Jeremy brings up a good point. Yeah, he did not even have a good yardage total here in Detroit, and that was a couple years back. And it's a shame, because I know he's hungry to play. Okay, the guy wants to play, and obviously that's nice, and obviously he wants the money too. But he's such a class guy. I like Adrian, but I don't see him being able to come back. I don't know who would take a chance on that.
Well, back to the chat room real quick. Brian, you're welcome. And he says he agrees with your smoke. So, all right, go ahead, Jeremy.
I got it. I got the fit for him. They're cutting Dalvin Cook after June 1st. Let him sign back with the Vikings and be their starting guy.
I don't know why. For some crazy reason, that intrigues me. But I don't know if I like that comment or the wearing the tire. So I'm going to call it a push with both of them. But I can guarantee you one thing about your comments. I'm keeping my hat on. Period. All right.
I'm working on it. I'll get it off there eventually.
No, you won't. I've already played that card before. So not again. But anyways, all right, Mel, what else you got?
One last thing. Le'Veon Bell did an interview last week. I don't know if anybody heard about it, but he talked about his use of cannabis during the season, and also that he, did it before games. He said he'd smoke and go out and rush for 150 and score 2 touchdowns. Does that surprise you, Jeremy? That not that he said it, but does it surprise you that he would do that before a game?
No, because
surprise you hearing that, I should say.
It doesn't surprise me to hear it. It doesn't surprise me he does it. I'm quite sure there's a lot more that do it, especially if they live in a marijuana legally state. So therefore, if they're able to smoke it casually legally, technically, unless your boss says you will be fired for doing it, they can't test you for it in a state where it's legal. So it depends on what your job is and what you're doing. And if you're using it as the medicine to help you with the pain, it's not a performance enhancing. If anything, it slows you down. So maybe that's why he was such a patient runner.
Right. Everything was slowed down like in the Matrix for him. What about you, Joe? I mean, George?
I think he has to visit the commissioner's office. Making a statement like that, I would call him into New York City and sit him down and just explain a little bit more about what you did, when you did it, how many times. If nothing else, gather some facts. It's a situation where, again, these guys are role models and these guys are being looked up to. And he's a Michigan Stater on top of that. So there's a lot of kids in Michigan that look up to him in our state. But I just, I get the thing about being illegal and all that, but I think the commissioner has a right to call him in and let's talk about this a little bit more and let's get to the bottom of this. How often have you done it? And, and I don't know, because if he's going to let him go without any fine or suspension, then he's got to allow everybody else in the league to do it as well. And I don't think he wants to go down that road.
Well, he's already out of the league. I mean, maybe maybe that explains why he chose to sit out a year and pass up getting $16 million and leave in the best situation that he could ask for.
Yeah, I know.
Wind up with the Jets.
But you got to get ready for the next person. Somebody else is going to come along and do it or has done it. So whatever the case may be.
Well, I think Calvin Johnson said that he did it. I think he, for medicinal purposes. But I think he said I can't remember if he did it before games.
But he said he didn't do it till after he retired because he had to do it.
Oh, is that what he said?
Because his hands were so crippled up.
Yeah.
It wasn't just because of Matt Stafford and how hard he threw the ball, like a lot of the fans think. It had a lot to do with when he was catching that ball between three defenders.
Yeah, those 50-50 balls.
Yeah.
That he'd go up and get, and that ground is not soft.
Neither is the players' helmets, neither is their shoulder pads, neither is their chest, their arms. There ain't nothing soft about getting hit at 25 to 30 miles an hour.
Yeah. Well, that's it for me, Scott. Back to you.
All right. Well, the only thing I'll say is that Le'Veon Bell hasn't been the same since he left the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I'll leave it at that, period. And nobody needs the input there. So with that said, I know we have 108 Stitches Baseball Talk following us. So with that said, okay, Jeremy, why don't you let everybody know how they can get a hold of you, and then I'll go over our information afterwards. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Well, as you can see, you can find me here on this channel any night Scott needs me. He asks me, I shows up. That is the South Florida Tribune channel on YouTube. You can also find me on the SouthFloridaTribune.com as one of his writers under the Motor City Tribune heading. You can also find me on my channel, Kneecap Biting with Smoking Jeremy B, where during the off season I have my shows on Wednesdays and Fridays. This Wednesday I have my NFC East review. So if you are a fan and want to be a part, shoot me a message. I'm on Facebook. That's how you spell my name. I'm also on Twitter at Smoking Jeremy B. Get a hold of me. I'll let you on because I got room for 8 people with me.
There you go. All right, Mel, go ahead. Let everybody know they get a hold of you.
On all the social media, LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you can find me at Melfar Jr. Follow what we have going on here in Georgia and also up in Michigan for young people at melfar.org.
Okay, George, you're an author. Let everybody know what you're authoring.
Detroit Sports Broadcasters on the Air. Scott's in the book. I'm in the book. Of course, I don't deserve to be in it. But anyways, it's a book about the history of sports broadcasting in Detroit. Ty Tyson, Ernie Harwell, George Kell, Ray Lane, and don't forget our friends like Frank Beckman and Van Patrick and Mark Champion and Brandstatter that did the Lions all these years. A great read, and it's available at there's a link, I should say, at the end of my column, the South Florida Tribune, Motor City Tribune. At the end of my column, you'll see a link, or you could just go to Amazon.com if you want to look it up. And also, you can reach me at gicorn@yahoo.com. And Scott, I remember 2 pictures of you in there. Oh my God, too great, Scott. unbelievable. Muhammad Ali, you don't get much better than that, and Jimmy Connors. What a career both those guys had.
Got that Motor City Mad Mouse in there?
Oh, that's in the next edition coming out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's true. That one came a little early,
Yeah.
but that's all right. I trademarked Motor City Mad
I
Mouse.
almost got it. I saw it. Your shoulders.
Oh, that's okay. Jeremy's only getting better by the broadcast, anyways. This guy's come a long way. He's a product of our system. Why do I talk about my guys? Because when you're proud of them, you let them know. I don't have to tell them private. I'll let everybody know. Nobody can see an improvement in his broadcast. Well, look at the beginning, see where he's at now. But we'll leave it at that. So I'll just let everybody know one more time that the audio version of Inside the Pigskin can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Well, I don't know. Ask Brian Cushion because he's well on his way toward doing it. And we're just going to say that Brian Cushion is our unofficial guest tonight until he makes it official, Brian. So, you just have to know great minds think alike. So I want to designate that Brian Cushion is our unofficial guest tonight. Thank you so much for your excellent participation. So with that said, you can also send your topic ideas to South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, no problem. Call me at 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Also, want to point out if you want to find me on Twitter, no problem. Go to @Tribune South, and that's the South Florida Tribune one, @Tribune South. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. And we got to hand kudos out to Candy Ebling. She does a masterful job putting all the shows up as well as all the content. You're very welcome, Brian. We appreciate you and looking forward to getting to know you better, as well as everybody on Kneecap Biting, the channel that Jeremy attaches. Again, Jeremy's a big part. We want to make sure that you're a part of every broadcast. So please keep showing up, and I will make reference to you as often as I can if you give me a reason to. So we want to make sure that we're all one big growing family, and that's what it's all about. So once again, www.southfloridatribune.com is a website. Good job, Candy. So this concludes this edition of Inside the Pigskin. So on behalf of Smoking Jeremy B., Mel Farr Jr., George Leghorn, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth the Motor City Manmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Inside the Pigskin. And you can follow us 108 Stitches Baseball Talk after 9 o'clock. So take care, everybody, and have yourself a wonderful night.